You use this icon to get into edit phase. Then you can choose a book you've worked on before, or you can create a new one. In this case, we're going to create a new book. And then we start our session. Let me first orient you to these two screens. This is the main session window, and this is the list manager. Right now, we're not going to use the list manager, so I'm going to turn it off using this button over here. Let me tell you a little bit more about some of the buttons in the main session window. Over here are buttons that you'll typically find in a word processor. These are justification buttons like left justify, center, right justify, and block text. These are bullets for standard bullets and numbering. These are for modifying your indentation. These are symbols and coloring the text. Over here are bold, italicized, underline, strike through, etc. These two buttons here are for increasing or decreasing the size of the font. Over here, these are buttons to add a book, open a book, save a book, save as. This is for deleting a book. This is for backup restore. So if you ever lose your work for some reason, you can click on this button and it'll bring up old copies of that same file. This is for importing, exporting data. This is for creating a new blank question and creating a new duplicate question, which I'll show you later in this video. This is for deleting a question. Here are some standard copy-paste functions. This is for cut, copy, and paste. This is your undo and redo buttons. And so those are all the buttons of the main session window. And why don't we go ahead and start making our first question. What is the charge of an electron? Now for the answers, is it positive? Or is it negative? Or is it neutral? In this case, we know that electrons are negative. And let's put in our explanation. Protons, or a proton, has a positive charge. An electron has a negative charge. And a neutron has a neutral charge. And so we have our question and answer and our explanation. And now we want to make our next question. We could go over here and create a new blank one, but in this case, our next question is going to be very similar to this one. So we're actually going to go ahead and make a duplicate copy of this one as a new question. And we're going to switch it to proton. And the answer now changes from negative to positive. And if we look at our explanation, yep, the proton has a positive charge. So we have our two questions, and now we want to assign it to a chapter. We don't see a chapter to assign it to, so we can create a new chapter, which we'll call atoms. And we can now assign this question to that chapter. And let's go back to the previous one. And we will assign that one also to atoms. And now we've created our two questions. We've put in all parts of that question. We've assigned it to a chapter. And we've just finished creating our book. We will save our exam. And we'll call this physics example. And that's it. So we've created our book. We've made two questions. We've assigned them both to the chapter atoms. And we can now go into the different phases and learn and test and review this book. And that's edit mode.